Hello, I'm Nigel Lythgoe, and this is The Enemy Within, a unique quiz where all the answers have already been given to one of the contestants. They are called The Enemy, and they will live up to that name if they're not discovered, because that will allow them to leave with everyone else's winnings. Let's meet our contestants. Rita Furnival from Holton, Rob Price from Cornwall, Angela Udall from Waterlooville, Scott Taylor from Bidford-on-Avon, and Caroline Watson from Surrey. Now, I, like you, don't know who the enemy is. This is the first time we've met each other. So check out the person next to you. That could be your enemy. They have the upper hand. They've seen the answers. Will they use them? Let's meet our first enemy suspect. Rita Furnival, you're a library assistant. Let's see what you said when we asked you, when is cheating acceptable?
Well, I don't think it's fair to cheat if you're breaking the law or if anyone was really going to get hurt in a particular situation. But I think if you were at home within the family just playing a game amongst yourselves when it's just a bit of fun, I think that's all right.
Well, you're certainly not with your family today, but will you still cheat? Rita Furnival, are you the enemy?
No, Nigel, I'm not.
Then I will ask you 3 questions. Each one of them is worth £25. If you don't know the answer or answer incorrectly, then I'll throw it open for a bonus. Remember, it's not just about using your powers of knowledge, it's about your powers of deduction as well. Let's play round 1. Of which country is Sofia the capital?
Bulgaria.
Correct. Big Brother was a character in which Orwell novel?
1984.
Being a librarian, you would know that, Rita. Highbury is associated with which London football club?
I don't know.
I'm throwing it open. Scott?
Arsenal.
Correct. Let's move on to our next enemy suspect. Rob Price is a post person. Let's see what he said when we asked him, is cheating acceptable in sports?
I don't think cheating is acceptable in sports. It's not very good sportsmanship. But however, there are times when I have done it myself if it's to my advantage. For example, I play for a local football team, and the other week the ball was coming through, and to stop it going to play out, I deliberately stuck my hand out to stop it going through, and I got away with it.
Well, you've already admitted to cheating and getting away with it. I wonder if you'll do so today. Rob Price, are you the enemy?
No, Nigel, it's not me.
Your 3 questions, each worth £25. In imperial measure, how many ounces to a pound?
16.
Correct. England players Jason Robinson and Mike Tyndall are associated with which sport?
Rugby union.
Correct. Which duo had their only UK #1 with There Must Be an Angel?
Don't know.
Throwing it open. Angela.
Eurythmics.
Eurythmics, that's quite right, with Stevie Wonder playing the harmonica. So let's meet you. You are our next enemy suspect. Angela Udall, you're a flight attendant. Let's see what you said when we asked you, when is cheating appropriate?
When it doesn't harm anyone. For example, when I'm on a diet and I want a sneaky chocolate bar, I'll just blame it on somebody else who's visited the house. It doesn't harm anyone, and I have no qualms about doing that.
Well, if you're the enemy today, Angela, you'll want to shift the blame on somebody else. Angela Udall, are you the enemy?
No, Nigel, I'm not the enemy.
3 questions. Which Eastern European country officially ceased to exist in January 1992?
Czechoslovakia?
Throwing it open. Rita.
Yugoslavia.
Yugoslavia is correct. Who wrote the best-selling novel Bridget Jones's Diary?
Helen Fielding.
Correct. Rigatoni and fusilli are varieties of which foodstuff?
Pasta.
Correct. You didn't know about the European country, Angela, and I've said you're a flight attendant.
I actually fly long haul, so I'm not absolutely familiar with Europe.
Really? Yugoslavia is not that close, Angela.
But I fly a long way.
Let's move on to our 4th enemy suspect. Scott Taylor's a sales manager. Let's see what he said when we asked him, do you think cheats are born or are they made?
I think they probably are made to try and get their own back on perhaps people who've cheated them in the past. I think it's probably okay in most circumstances as long as the repercussions are not harmful to others and the end justifies the means.
Well, the end certainly justifies the means for the enemy today. They're going to walk off with everybody else's money. Scott Taylor, are you the enemy?
Of course not, Nigel.
That was almost as though you'd looked in a mirror, checked out how you were going to say that, and very firm, but no movement whatsoever from your face, Scott. Your 3 questions, each worth £25. In the English Civil War, who led the Roundheads? Caroline.
Cavaliers?
Who led the Roundheads, the Cavaliers? It was Oliver Cromwell, and I'm surprised you didn't remember that, Scott.
History's not a strong point at school.
Obviously not, unless you're trying to cheat us at the moment. Woman of Today is the 2002 autobiography of which Radio 4 presenter? Throwing it open, Rob.
Sue Lawley.
No, it was Sue McGregor. What is the capital city of Iceland, Scott?
Reykjavik.
Correct. Only one right. And you have an IQ of 155. You're a member of Mensa, Scott, aren't you?
That doesn't measure your general knowledge, though.
No, it measures your intelligence, but you still didn't know who Oliver Cromwell was. Let's move on to our final enemy suspect. Caroline Watson, you're an employment advisor. Let's see what you said when we asked you, what do you think of cheaters?
I think cheats get away with a lot, and I think in certain occupations you probably have to cheat. I try not to cheat, although my friends would probably say I cheat at games because I like playing games, but I don't, honestly, it's not me.
I didn't understand one of the sentences there, Caroline. You said, I try not to cheat, which sounds to me like you can't help yourself.
I try and I normally succeed.
Caroline Watson, are you the enemy?
No, it's not me.
Your 3 questions, each worth £25. Woodstock and Charlie Brown feature in which comic strip?
Peanuts.
Correct. Who played Eddie Hitler in the 90s sitcom Bottom?
Rick Mail.
Throwing it open. Rob.
Is it Aid Edmondson?
It certainly was. A pumice stone is made of which rock, Caroline?
Volcanic.
Correct. Well, that's the end of that round. I am not going to reveal your running totals, but I will tell you that Rita, Rob, and Angela are all joint leaders. Now, is that because they're clever, or is that because they've seen the answers? You must decide. As must you at home if you want to join in. The lines will be open at the end of our next round, and you can telephone us if you think you know who the enemy is. Now we move on to our second round, which is a buzzer round. If you didn't pick up any clues in that first round, you're certainly going to have to in this round. Each question is worth £50. And remember, the enemy doesn't have to buzz in. They can sit back and let you do all of the work. So be on your guard as we play round 2. Which is Britain's only indigenous poisonous snake? Scott.
The adder.
Correct. Which 70s scandal led to the resignation of President Nixon? Angela.
Watergate.
Correct. The Granite City is the nickname of which? Rita.
Aberdeen.
Correct. Who partnered Renee on the 1982? Rita.
Renata.
Renee and Renata. Did you buy it, Rita?
No, certainly not.
Where would you find the marsh of epidemics and the sea of nectar? Rob.
On the moon.
On the moon is correct. Which country's professional golfers have included Gary Player and... Rob.
South Africa.
Correct. Do you play golf?
Occasionally.
Do you kick your ball out of the rough, Rob?
I do if I'm playing with my brother, because it's the only way I can beat him.
Really? So you cheat at golf?
Absolutely.
I wonder if you're cheating today. In the novel Rebecca, what was the name of Maxime de Winter's house? Rita.
Manderley.
Manderley is correct. Which occupation is shared by Sally Brompton and Claire Petulengro? Rita.
They're astrologers.
They are astrologers. Which former comedy producer is the host of TV's 15 to 1? Scott.
William G. Stewart.
Is correct. Keris Matthews is the vocalist for which? Rob.
Catatonia.
Correct. It's the end of that round. I'm still not going to tell you your individual scores. All I can tell you is that Rita is now in the lead. But does that mean she's today's enemy, or is she just clever? We're now at the halfway stage, and I'm going to try and pick up on your thoughts, see if you've picked up any clues as to who today's enemy is. Rita, who do you think the enemy is today?
I think it might be Angela.
Angela, why?
I don't know really, it's just a gut feeling.
A gut feeling, so nothing that stands out to you
No.
at this moment. Rob, who do you think the enemy is?
I think it's Rita.
Rita, because she's answering her questions well?
Yes.
She's a librarian, obviously reads a lot of books, Rob.
Just got a feeling.
Angela, who do you think the enemy is and why?
I've got a feeling it's Rita. She got the question right on Renee and Renata, and she said she wouldn't even buy it, so perhaps she...
May have given away a clue there. Scott, who do you think the enemy is and why?
I think it's Angela. Very nice looking girl. Air stewards and stewardesses are not always known for their general knowledge.
Are you married, Scott?
No, I'm not. I
didn't think you were. Caroline, who do you think the enemy is and why?
I think it's Scott because he doesn't look people in the eye and there's not much expression there. Nope.
He just tried to look at you then, and I think he was unsuccessful at it. Well, I think, Rita, you've had a couple of people point at you as the enemy. Maybe it's just because you are clever, or maybe you are the cheat. Angela, a couple of people have pointed towards you. One, because you're good looking.
Doesn't mean I'm a cheat.
It certainly doesn't mean you're a cheat. How about you at home? How are you doing? Have you spotted more than our contestants? If you think you know who today's enemy is, then why not call us now? If you think it's Rita, then call 0901 383 4141. If you think it's Rob, then call 0901 383 4142. If you think it's Angela, then call 0901 383 4143. If you think it's Scott, then call 0901 383 4144. Or if you think it's Caroline, then call 0901 383 4145. 5 randomly selected winners will each receive £200. The lines will be open until the final round of our quiz, and calls cost 25 pence. We'll now move on to our third round. Here I'm going to ask each of you 3 questions on a specific subject. Each question is worth £75. Your problem is that you haven't chosen that specific subject, so it's quite possible that you won't know any of the answers. Unless, of course, you've already seen them. Time is running out as we move into round 3. Rita, your specialist subject is TV cops. Do you watch television?
I do, but not really that sort of show, I'm afraid.
What was the name of John Thor's character in The Sweeney?
Regan.
Jack Regan. I'm happy to accept. What kind of copper was Dixon of Dock Green according to the show's theme song? Throwing it open. Caroline.
Constable.
No, he was an ordinary copper. Eric Estrada played patrolman Francis Poncherello in which Californian set police show?
Miami Vice.
Throwing it open. Scott.
Chips.
CHIPS, which was the acronym for California Highway Patrol. Let's move to you, Rob. Famous sailors is your specific subject. How are you with famous sailors?
We'll soon find out.
We will. Which Prime Minister captained Britain's team in the 1971 Admiral's Cup?
Is it Edward Heath?
It was Edward Heath. Which lone sailor was runner-up in the BBC Sports Personality of 2001?
Ellen MacArthur.
Correct. Which long-running BBC TV show has a hornpipe theme?
Blue Peter.
Correct. All 3 right. Angela, British castles is your specific subject. Have you visited many castles?
Not many.
In which county is Arundel Castle?
Sussex.
Sussex is correct. Alnwick Castle is the family seat of which duke? Throwing it open. Rita.
Northumberland.
Correct. Appleby Castle in Cumbria was originally started by which group of invaders?
Vikings.
Throwing it open. Caroline.
Romans.
Correct.
Oh.
It's a very good guess, Caroline.
Thank you. I'm surprised myself.
Really? I wonder if it surprised everybody else. Or had you read it?
No.
No. Scott, let's move to you. Your specific subject is Bob Dylan. Do you like Bob Dylan? Smile came on your face?
I do like him, yes.
Right, let's see what you know about him. What was Dylan's original surname?
Zimmerman.
Correct. His early career began in the coffee shops of which New York district?
Queens.
Throwing it open. Rob?
Manhattan.
No, it was Greenwich Village. I'm surprised you didn't know that, Scott.
I listen to his music. I don't read about his life.
Right, so you don't follow up on people that you like.
Not always.
Dylan painted a picture of himself for the cover of which of his albums? Throwing it open. It was Self-Portrait, but you said you don't follow up on him, but you buy his records, and yet you didn't know one album was called Self-Portrait.
I was bought his greatest hits, so I have a big compilation for Father's Day last year.
Right. He happens to be one of your favourite artists, Scott.
I like the music.
And if that tells us anything. Caroline, let's move to you. Kids TV is your specialist subject. Have you got children?
I haven't, but I'm a child at heart, so
So you watch Kids TV.
yeah.
Which foursome have a vacuum cleaner called Nunu?
Teletubbies.
Correct. Which actor provided the voice of Danger Mouse? Trying it open. Scott.
David Jason.
Correct. By what name were Fleagle, Bingo, Drooper and Snorky known?
The banana splits.
They were indeed. That's the end of that round, and for the first time I can now reveal your cash totals. And for our viewers at home, a reminder of those telephone numbers to call in on if you believe you know who the enemy is. They will be closed at the end of the final round. Angela, you have £200. Caroline, you have £275. Scott, you have £375. Rita, you have £425. And Rob, you have £450. So Rob is our current leader. Is that because he's the cleverest? Or is that because he's the cleverest cheat? Let's take a moment here to pause, and I'll try and give you a little bit of background on your fellow contestants today. Rita, you do a lot of pub quizzes, Rita, don't you?
I
You
do
enjoy
like them.
quizzes.
Yes, I do, yeah.
And you work in a library, so you should be very intelligent.
Hopefully.
What about the time that somebody came up to you in that library and asked you for a book on local cycle paths? Rita, you tried to find them a book on local psychopaths.
I just simply misheard what they said. It was just a misunderstanding.
Rob Price does lots of quizzes, Rob, don't you? That could be possibly why you're in the lead at the moment. But also, Rob, whilst on his honeymoon, tried to sell his wife for 100 camels. He'd certainly sell you up the river today if he was the enemy. Angela Udall. When Angela goes for her MOT test, her father, who's a car mechanic, switches the bulbs over in the car passes the test, and then Angela removes them and puts the old bulbs back. That's right, Angela, isn't it?
No, it didn't happen.
That's what your father told me, Angela. So she's lying to me now. Scott Taylor, as we know, he's got a Mensa IQ of 155. Measures intelligence, as Scott pointed out, and not knowledge. At the same time, he's hanging back with his answers. He actually plays internet Scrabble, don't you, Scott?
I have done.
Yeah, online. Why have you got that big dictionary by the side of you when you're playing the game, Scott? Isn't that cheating?
It's a convenient place to keep it.
Is it cheating, Scott?
Only if it's used.
Scott, is it cheating?
Yes.
Caroline, on going to a gig with some friends for a birthday party, Caroline found that there were no seats there. But the computer in the box office had broken down, and she lied and said that she'd pre-booked the tickets and got all of the friends in free, didn't you, Caroline?
It was my friend's birthday and I had to put her
You cheated,
first.
Caroline, didn't you?
I made
Caroline,
the use of
did
the
you
situation.
cheat? Did you cheat?
Some may view it like that.
Do you view it like that?
I feel I helped my friend.
So she didn't believe that was cheating. Does that tell you anything about Caroline's character? Well, these are the decisions that you're going to have to make. Hopefully, you've got an insight now into your fellow contestants' characters. We're going to move on to our final round, and this is a chance for you to dramatically increase your cash totals. The first question is going to be worth £100. Any player can buzz in. If it's answered correctly, the prize money will then go up by £25 for the next question. But the questions will not be offered across. In a moment, I'm going to ask you the most vitally important question of today. Who is the enemy? You must give me that answer at the end of this round. For £100, what is the occupation of author J.K. Rowling's husband, Neil Murray? Angela?
Film producer?
No, he's a doctor. Still for £100, which Dervla Kerwin sitcom was set in Era? Caroline?
Ballykiss Angel.
Correct. For £125, which meat is traditionally used to make Wiener Schnitzel? Caroline?
Sausage meat.
No, it's veal, still for £125. Whose notes from a small island became a nine? Rita.
Bill Bryson.
Correct. For £150. In song, which city was the home of Sweet Molly Malone? Caroline.
Dublin.
Correct. For £175. In the film Sliding Doors, who played Helen? Caroline.
Gwyneth Paltrow.
Correct. For £200, slip, surgeons and granny are types of... Rita.
Knot.
They are types of knot. For £225, which poet is famed for his elegy written in a country? Caroline.
Thomas Gray.
Correct. For £250, what was Elvis Presley's middle name? Caroline.
Aaron.
Correct. For £275, which admiral died aboard HMS Victory? Angela.
Nelson.
Correct. Well, that's the end of today's questions, and the phone lines are now closed. Here are your final totals. Scott, you have £375. Rob, you have £450. Angela, you have £475. Rita, you have £750. Caroline, you have £1,175, which means that Caroline is today's winner. However, that might be the closest any of you get to that money. Because it can still be stolen from you, the enemy is still within. In a moment, I'm going to ask you to nominate who you believe the enemy is, and you must give me a majority decision. If you give me a split decision, then the audience's vote will be decisive, whether you agree with it or not. It's now time for that audience vote. So, audience, who is the enemy? At this stage, our audience's vote will only be seen by our viewers at home, but you've now had a chance to think. Is it Caroline, our winner today, who's up there answering all of the questions, suddenly zoomed in that final round, as you noted? Is it Rita, who was answering them previously? Or could it be Scott? We know he's in Mensa. He's at the bottom of the pile today. Is that normal? Or is it Rob or Angela, who've just sat there and become unnoticed, maybe, by you all? It's now time to make that decision. Rita, who is the enemy?
Angela.
Rob, who is the enemy?
Rita.
Angela, who is the enemy?
Rita.
Scott, who is the enemy?
Angela.
Caroline, who is the enemy?
Angela.
On a count of 3 to 2, 3 fingers point at you, Angela. But are they right? Will the real enemy now stand up? You don't surprise me, Scott. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Please sit down. I have to say, you didn't outwit the audience. They actually sussed you. And I must say, I did as well. That Bob Dylan round, I think you should have worn a little badge saying, I am the enemy. You're a very intelligent man, and yet you didn't score highly today. Was that your intention when you started?
No, I went for all the questions I knew the answers to.
And what about Bob Dylan? You did know those answers, really, didn't you?
I didn't know them. I just listened to the compilation I was bought for Father's Day last year.
What kind of a fan is that?
An armchair fan.
Are you still lying to me, Scott? You don't have to now, you
I'm
know.
not lying anymore.
Was that the way you wanted to play the game?
Pretty much, yeah. I thought I'd go for most questions, but these guys, even though I knew some of them, they were in there very, very fast.
So you let them do the work?
Mostly.
And build the money up. Caroline, next to you there, has actually built up £1,175, which obviously goes into your cash total, which amounts to £3,225. So congratulations, Scott. You're going home with what you justly deserve, everyone else's money.
Thank you.
Rita, you actually played into Scott's hands. You were quick on the buzzer.
Yep.
You never spotted him at all.
I did wonder between the two men, because this one went quiet as well.
Yeah? You thought between the two men, and
Yeah.
yet you voted for Angela.
Yeah, it was a toss-up.
A toss-up between the two men, and then you voted for Angela. I don't understand, Rita.
No, last-minute panic.
Last-minute panic.
Yeah.
Rob, you didn't spot him at all?
No, well,
You thought it was Rita?
Yeah, she was very quick with her, washing her hands out the corner of my eye, thought she was too quick on the buzzer. Scott would have been my next guest, so I picked the wrong one.
Yeah. Especially as I kept pointing out to you Scott's intelligence. Angela, you had no idea? You thought it was Rita.
I did think it was Rita.
Why?
As I said from the question from one of the first rounds that she got right.
So you stuck with that thought all the way along?
Yeah.
And you were incorrect. Caroline, sat next to the enemy.
I thought it was him at the beginning,
Yeah.
and then I was
Changed your
swayed.
mind. Why did you think it was Angela?
Well, I thought the other contestants must have seen something I hadn't.
But Angela didn't show herself. I mean, she's about halfway up, about £475 she got.
I thought she was playing it quiet.
And you didn't think Scott, on the lowest amount of money, was playing it even quieter?
I realise that now.
There is a realisation now, and the realisation is that you haven't done what you should have done today, and that was spot the enemy. Consequently, the four of you will be going home with what you justly deserve. Absolutely nothing. How about you at home? Did you spot Scott today? Do you think you'd make a better detective than our four contestants today? Or would you make a better enemy than Scott? If you think you would and you'd like to be on the show, why not write to us at this address, The Enemy Within, Post Office Box 22122, London SE1 9GL. And please include a stamped self-addressed envelope. Well, that's all for now. Today's cheat, Scott, wasn't discovered by our contestants, although the audience did spot him, and hopefully 5 of you out there did as well. But it does prove that good cheats can prosper on The Enemy Within. See you next time, and remember, keep your friends close, keep your enemies even closer.